Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Triple R. And today we want to review a phone that's about to be launched tomorrow. It's the Huawei Nova 2 Plus. See what we think about the phone and how it looks and performs, as well as how does it stack up against a phone of a similar price. In fact, this other competitor that competes with it is probably a cousin of sorts. So find out more in our review. Cheers. Hey guys, now here's the review that I promised you, and introducing the Nova 2 Plus. As you can see here, it's a 5.5 incher. In fact, if it wasn't for the Huawei logo at the bottom, one could mistake this for an iPhone from a distance. It has dual camera in the back and the fingerprint sensor is here. The only thing missing from the front that would make it very, very iPhone-like would be the fingerprint sensor and the home button, right? So it has a Huawei logo here, so there's no mistaking this up close for an iPhone. And I particularly like it because it's very, very thin. You look at the profile. It goes into any jeans pocket, and it's beautifully made, I must say. There's dual camera in the back with the fingerprint sensor here, so it's convenient. So as you turn the phone around and you want to turn it on, most of the time what will happen is you will rest your finger at the back this way, right? And that unlocks it, whether you're right or left-handed, and that will do that. It's a USB-C right now, so all the phones have kind of transitioned to USB-C. You probably will not find a micro USB cable anymore for this. They still have the headphone jack, so that's a good thing. Now the two cameras in the back, one is 8 and one is 12 megapixels. Pictures are pretty decent, as you can see from here. And this, so even HDR and backlighting is producing very good pictures. And also have one in the dark. Now, why do okay, so one of the things that I always test with cameras is I always test the few types of lightings that kind of trip them up. One, low light condition. Two, HDR. That means where you have heavy backlighting. And I also test video recording. And of course, the mandatory selfies. Now, one of the things, or one of the key features of this phone is that it comes with a 20 megapixel front camera. And this is touted as a selfie phone. So will it make very good pictures? We'll have some test shots. So how does this look when it's powered on? Here it is in its full glory. The screen is beautiful. And if I compare it, it has a similar screen color brightness and color contrast with the rest of the Huawei phones. As you can see, the colors are very vivid and bright. And the menu is quite similar as well. Now, this is where the similarities end. So what powers this Huawei Nova 2 Plus? In fact, the CPU is a Krillin 600 series CPU. So it's not the latest 960. But in my test of this phone so far, it hasn't hampered the phone from all the regular usage, from Facebook to YouTube videos. And of course, I've resetted this phone already, but I've also played Mobile Legends on it with the full graphics and all, and it chugs along just fine. It comes with 4 GB of RAM and a huge internal storage of 128 GB. As you can tell from the camera app, it's very similar to all the other Huawei cameras that I have seen, particularly the P10 Plus, as well as a distant cousin called the Honor 8 Pro. Swiping in from the side, you get a host of all the features that the phones will do, including Pro Photo Mode, Pro Video Mode, 3D Panorama, HDR, which is what I use, of course the night shot, and we'll show you a couple of night shots in a while, right? And light painting. I've never quite got the light painting to work, but you know, it is useful for once in a while. Time-lapse photography and slow motion. However, I must point out that this phone, the cameras at the back, will not shoot anything more than 1080p at 30 frames per second. So in the full video mode, as you switch it over, you can see that the resolution is stuck at the maximum of 1080p 16:9. You don't have a resolution that goes higher. So I was a little bit disappointed. I felt that it could probably have done a bit higher, and I'm not exactly sure, but I would think that it is because of the chipset. It also has object trackings, and so a lot of the features are very, very interesting. In the photo mode, it does a maximum of 12 megapixels, as you can, and this is the selfie camera. As you can tell, it's being recorded now by a regular phone, and I'm using the phones to test if the 4K recording is good. So it's recording in 4K. However, I'm not able to change the resolution, and this is because if I've enabled the portrait mode, the only way to change the resolution is to disable this first. So once the portrait mode is disabled. Now, for those of you who don't know what portrait mode is, with the portrait mode enabled, you'll be able to take a picture and the background would seem like it's a bit further away. So it's kind of blurred out and gives that very nice portrait effect. Now, with the portrait mode disabled, now I can go in and change the resolution. See, it does 20 megapixels at 4:3, which is your regular resolution. At a 16:9, which is slightly wider, it'll do only 15. And you can do a 1:1 ratio. And for me, I found that this was the clearest of the lot, the 1:1. 16:9, which is a bit wider, so if you wanted to take a group Wi-Fi, then this is an interesting bit. Now, how did the pictures turn out? Obviously, I didn't have a beautiful model with me at this particular point, and so the model is me. I do apologize for that. But you can take a look at the pictures and decide for yourself if the selfie was any good. The rest of the phone functions just like anything else. It has a decent battery at 3,300 milliampere. And however, there was one thing that I didn't quite like. The fact is it has Wi-Fi, and I'm a stickler for Wi-Fi, right? But the thing is, its Wi-Fi is limited to 2.4N. In this day and age, AC is so prevalent, I cannot quite figure out why it would leave it at N, and specifically a lower N, 2.4. And if you do a speed test using sweet spots, you get the wireless moving somewhere between 50 to 70 megabits per second. However, if you have wireless AC, like one which is in the other phone, I'm about to show you, then you'll get anywhere from 400. So we're talking about 8 times the speed difference from wireless. So I'm not particularly sure why that is done. You know, maybe Huawei will enlighten us, but that's my thoughts on it at this moment. Now, this is going to be retailing for 1,999. That's as far as I know. All right. How? So, if you had 1,999 ringgit to spend or 2,000 ringgit to spend, what would be an alternative to this? And should you buy this? I'll let you decide, but I'm going to show you a competitor to this. Before that, one must say it does look pretty similar to this phone, except for the fact that this one has a home button on it. Then, so this is a OnePlus 5, and I don't think that's in the same price range or the same performance specs, so this is not even going to be on the table for this. However, what I do have here is the Honor 8 Pro. As you can tell, the phones look very, very similar. I would say they look almost identical. Look at that. Look at the place where the SIM cards go. And if I flip it around and I have this upside down, except for the antenna bands, which is visible here, and the one has it further up, the 2 cameras, the touch button, it is very, very similar. Now, what are the differences between these two? They're priced almost exactly the same. I mean, unless Huawei makes a change, this is exactly the same. This has a bigger screen, number one. This also has 6 gig of RAM. This has 4. However, this has a smaller internal memory, 64 gig. The front camera isn't as high as this, so here are 2 pictures side by side, and you compare and tell me what you think. Right? I won't tell you which is which, but if you pick A or B, It'll come up in a short bit. What else is different? This comes with the Krillin 960 processor. Now, that is the latest state-of-the-art processor that's also in the P10 Plus, which is the flagship for Huawei. What more? This can shoot in 4K. This cannot shoot in 4K. This also has wireless AC with MIMO. This one, wireless N 2.4. So just from a wireless speed perspective, this is very, very different. Of course, one must say this is a Huawei phone and this is just the Honor 8 Pro. So is there a difference between the two? I mean, to be honest, head to your local Huawei stores and head to your local phone dealers and check out either one. And then you can compare it and see for yourself which you prefer. I'll leave that decision to you. We'll come to the conclusion in a bit. Right guys, so that was the review for the Nova 2 Plus. As I said, it is a beautiful looking phone, and if you like it purely for the size and its aesthetic purpose, go out and get it. For 2,000 ringgit, it's a pretty darn good phone. However, if your choice is still if you still haven't made up your mind, then you might want to consider taking a look at its cousin as well. So for 2,000 ringgit, I think there are no better value than these two particular phones in the market today. I'll see you in the next review. Cheers!